So one of the most exciting things that I think that we as actors have enjoyed is having you during rehearsals and being able to talk about what the characters are feeling, where you're coming from. What have your thoughts been?
Well, it's a new experience for me, and one of the things I realized is that there were two. It's dangerous to have the playwright present because you have a director and you have actors and actresses. And so the playwright, I think it's fine for the playwright to be there for a few of the original early performances, and then I think it's important for him to be available to the director, but it's the director's show, and what I found is that, two cooks spoil the broth, and you can't have two people commenting on the casting and so forth. Now, obviously, I was very pleased to see you cast in your role, and actually, I was pleased to see all of the people that were cast. But it's the director's show, and the playwright has to take a back seat. Once he turns his baby over to the director, it's his baby, and you have to be willing to have a certain amount of modification and adjustment. And one of the things I'll mention here is that Randy has a lot of experience in producing, and he has suggested a number of things. In fact, there's an extra scene. The first scene in Red on the Head was a suggestion that Randy had, which we did. And then in Jesus for the Defense, he suggested the first scene and the last scene. I wrote them, but he suggested what they were. So in many ways, these plays will be a joint product of myself and Randy Whalen, who never wrote any of the lines, but he led me in a direction to, I think, improve the plays a lot. And certainly from the standpoint of presentation. I mean, a playwright really doesn't know exactly how it's going to go on the stage, and the director does. So I was very pleased to get the help and the suggestions. And then finally, I even came up with a final act. And finally, Randy shut me down and said, "No, we're through. We don't need that final act." And so I threw it in the trash can and so forth.
Well, that actually brings me to my next point, where you say that these are your babies and that you brought them to Randy. And we had a table read that I was thankfully at for the first time. What was that like, bringing your babies to the table and actually seeing them come to life in front of you instead of just on the page?
Well, I mean, it's wonderful. My daughter is an actress, and she told me, she said, "Dad, you have to have a table reading of these plays." And I'd never done it, although I'd told some friends, and they had said they'd be willing to come by. You really need to hear the lines. And once you hear them, a whole series of possibilities suggest themselves. It opens your eyes to it. It's a wonderful. I mean, I laughed at some of my own lines. I mean, I didn't know they were, I didn't know how good they were. And when you hear them being presented, you get an appreciation for whether they're any good or whether they're dogs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So are you excited about opening night?
Oh yeah, very much so. In fact, I've got quite a few friends that are going to come, and I'm very excited about it. I'm trying to decide where to sit, somewhere out of the way up in the back where no one can see me with it's sort of a little bit embarrassing to be a playwright with your, I've written some poetry. And I've written some short stories and things. And when you send them off, you never see the audience at all. You don't know what they're doing. But to present ideas, particularly if they could be controversial, and to have to sit there while an audience, a strange, fresh audience, looks at your ideas and reacts, that ought to be quite a sensation. Mm-hmm. And even in a movie theater, if you're writing a script, you don't have to sit there. But a drama where you have to sit there and either, and sense whether or not they're appreciating it, and sense their disapproval if there are some controversial themes here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I suspect we'll get some kickback on the lines regarding abortion. So I'll be a little bit nervous. I'll be sitting in the back with a scarf around my face or something.